highly regarded. And the recruitment either for cadet officers or the normal recruits is done with a very heavy supervision. It's done in the public space. There is a lot of scrutiny from security agencies. Even civil society is allowed to participate. In the unlikely event that the recruitment is in breach of the laws, that maybe there is a bribery, what he's talking about, KDF has got a martial court. And in a few instances, people who have participated in this kind of bribery have actually been court-martialed, and serving officers are spending time behind bars. And if it's the civilians, then obviously they're rendered, they go to the civilian courts. So it may not be very prudent to cast aspersions on the recruitment of KDF, because it's a very, very serious military force. In fact, now you have the National Defense University of Kenya, which is coming up as a premier university, not just in Kenya, all over the world. One of their campuses, the National Defense College, is highly celebrated. You've got senior officers in the level of colonels or brigadiers from all over the world who come to study here in Nairobi at the National Defense College.
Like the West Point?
Yeah, some sort of West Point or Sanders. So that is something serious that even if you don't like Kenya, even if you don't like the administration, but we can at least give credit to institutions which are working. You cannot have people coming from the US, UK, India, Japan, China, Pakistan, coming to study at the National Defense College if it's not a premier institution. Now you've read the names of the first cabinet. And when you look at the first cabinet, the common denominator, number one, is meritocracy. All the names you've read, whether or not they've got degrees like Tom Mboya, but you look at the cabinet, in fact, President Jomo Kenyatta implemented Article 10 of the Kenyan Constitution before it was drafted. Because if you go through those names you've read, it actually captures the face of Kenya. Now, if you go through the cabinet today, and you go through the list of public servants of rank today, be it principal secretaries, parastatal chairs, or managing directors, you do not see the face of Kenya.
Face of Kenya.
Yeah, that is why people keep on fighting every day. And that is why political office has become an exciting proposition. Because now people know that if you elect a son from your village, there's a very high probability that you are going to get into the public office.
Right.
The cabinet you've gone through there, if you go through the names like Dr. Kiano, you go through Dr. Lawrence George Sagini, these are people who went to study at some of the best universities across the world.
Right.
They came back and started implementing some of those proposals. However, there are critics who would argue that Tom Joseph Mboya, who was the architect of the sessional paper number 10, they came up with a policy and a number of areas were excluded. Do you know that they said that we have got a high capacity areas where they pushed all the maendeleo? And you know the maendeleo in Kenya was limited to where there was a railway line and where there were roads. So some places suffered as a result, like a place like Kisii, which doesn't have a solid road network or even a railway line, they suffered. But one of the issues that the founding fathers said they wanted to address is the issue of illiteracy. And again, we have to give President Moi credit that he opened up the university system in Kenya, something which was taken to the next level by President Kibaki, that Kenya's human capital today, it's top talents. Professor Golaya, with his tribulations with universities in Kenya, if you take him to Harvard, you take him to Syracuse, you take him to Yale, you take him to Oxford, he'll be swimming like fish in water. I mean, you take a Kenyan graduate anywhere in the world, they'll be at the top of the class. So that is something we need to give credit. Although right now we're having a bit of turbulence with something, I don't know whether it's called CBC or it's CBE or it's CBR. It's coming up with a lot of acronym. Now, you're even getting to the space of alphabetic jargon, so you don't know what is existing. But if you go to Rwanda, you go to Tanzania, you go to South Africa, you'll be amazed by Kenyan talents. Actually, for international travelers, you go to a hotel in Dubai, you've got a graduate of Utalii College, a position of rank. You go to New Zealand, there's a graduate of Utalii College. They're running this sector. I'm even wondering why Utalii College was not elevated to a fully fledged university to train personnel, hospitality, because when you come across an Utalii graduate and you've traveled to Angola, you know, when you come in, you say your name, then they know these are a Kenyan, then they immediately speak Swahili, then all of a sudden you're in Brazil, but you feel at home. This is something that we must encourage, which is why it's very disappointing that with the President Ruto's administration, when they say, let's export Kenyan talent, some people start shedding tears, because in the era of globalization of markets and production, Kenyan universities are not training talent just for Kenya. They're training talent for the world. Secondly, let's come to healthcare. Now you have the SHA and you have the SHIF, which is having a lot of